So once you've topped and tailed your recording and edited it and got it as good as it can possibly be, we're going to want to save it. Now in Audacity, if we choose save project, that's going to save the actual project, and we could have several audio files in here arranged in different ways. That's a project, but you can't actually play a project back. You can only reload the project for extra work later on. If you want your finalized audio file, you have to export. So we go into export, and we can choose what kind of file type we want to export as. I'm going to export this as a WAV file, which is the highest possible quality file. It's a big file size. You wouldn't want to put it on the web, but we just name it, hit save, and you get these extra dialogues that I don't bother with very much, but if you're into it, you can give it an artist name and a track name and stuff like that. But really, if you just want to export the audio file, just hit OK, and that's done. Now you might want to save it as an MP3 file, which is a compressed version of a WAV file, and it's small enough to fit more songs onto a CD, say, or small enough to put up onto the web for people to click on and listen to. And we do that by hitting export, and we choose MP3. Now it's going to be saved as an MP3 file. Now at this point, one of two things will happen. We'll either be able to save our MP3 file if we've used Audacity several times on this computer, or in fact if we've used it twice as a minimum. But the very first time you run Audacity and try to export an MP3 file, it asks you for the LAME encoder, L-A-M-E, and that's a separate download which you can find by googling Audacity, finding the Audacity download, and then finding the LAME download. And all it does is it says find the LAME encoder, and that will be somewhere on your computer where you put it, and you browse to lame.dll, click on it, and that's the last time you have to tell your computer where the LAME encoder is. So once you've done that once, you need never do it again. And since I've done it on this computer before, I don't need to do it again. But I do have one or two choices before I save this MP3 file. I can choose options, and in the options we can choose the quality of MP3 compression. Now that's set at 56 kilobytes per second, which is a really heavily compressed file, and it won't sound too good at all. This is an audio file, and I think it would sound reasonably okay in 96 kilobytes per second, so slightly better at 128 kilobytes per second. And if it had music in it, I might be tempted to push it up to 160 kilobytes per second. Now we can go all the way up to 320. Now that's a less compressed file, much better quality, but if you're putting files onto the web, you've got to make a compromise between sound quality and compression size in order for people to be able to hear the thing. If the file size is too big, it's going to take forever to download, and you can do this by trial and error. Just encode a few sound files and see if they sound good to you, or if they don't sound good enough, you could increase it a little bit. Personally, I wouldn't go much below 96. Spoken word, probably okay. 128 slightly better. Music perhaps 160, but it might be your preference. I'm going to save this one as a 128. Hit save, OK, and it's done.